If you want to create beautiful holiday cards without spending hours or buying new supplies, you're in the right place. In this video, you'll get inspired to shop your stash and use your old holiday dies, hot foil, or better press plates to make quick, easy, and stunning cards that will impress anyone who receives them. By the end, you'll have tips and tricks to make your own holiday cards look magical, so let's dive in. For the first card, I'm using a hot foil plate and dies from Spellbinders. This one is pretty old, but I really love it. I'll have all the supplies listed, and if this plate is still available, I'll link it there. I'm using this hot foil plate today, but not to hot foil. I'll use it to better press these snowflakes. I've already hot foiled the sentiment in gold, so I'll set that aside for now. Before I continue, I want to mention something important about using a hot foil plate in the better press system. It's not recommended by Spellbinders. However, I've done a lot of experimenting and I've found that it doesn't seem to damage either the better press system or the hot foil plate. That said, please be mindful of the cautionary put out by Spellbinders. Other thing to know is that unless you use a full-sized hot foil plate in the better press system, the plate doesn't grip onto the platform as firmly as even a smaller better press plate does. It moves very easily. For example, with a better press plate, I really have to push hard to move it around. But with the hot foil plate, even a very light touch makes it slide around. I'm barely applying any pressure and it shifts right away. So when I'm using a smaller hot foil plate, I apply a little bit of temporary glue to the back so I can stick it down. Later, I can remove the glue with rubbing alcohol and it comes off quite easily. I've applied some glue here, and now I'm pressing it down on the platform. It stuck pretty well and no longer moves. I'm using watercolor paper because I'll apply a light misting of water to this, but it's optional. There's a slightly textured side and a smoother side, and I'm placing the smoother side of the watercolor paper down. Because I'll stamp this multiple times and the first pass might not pick up all the ink, I'll add small bits of painter's tape to the corners of the panel so nothing shifts during the reruns. Now it's secured well and won't move even if I run it through the machine several times. For ink, I'm using these 3 colors from Pinkfresh Studio. I'm placing the lighter ink on the opposite end before adding the medium shade in the middle because I don't want to contaminate the lighter ink pad. I'm overlapping the colors just a little bit to create a smooth gradient. Next, I'm applying a very light mist of water. You can see I'm holding the spray bottle at a good distance and just doing a couple of sprays. Now I'll run this through my die cutting machine. And I get a beautiful imprint of the ink. I can also see some texture in the indentation because the watercolor paper is quite thick. You can use the regular cardstock, although heavier cardstock tends to create a more defined letterpress effect if that's what you're after. I think it needs another layer of ink, so I'll ink up the plate again, but this time without any water since I want the light blue ink to show up darker. Beautifully crisp impression, and I'm loving the gradient. I just need to use the coordinating die to cut it out. To clean up, I'll spritz a little water and wipe everything down. Alright, I'm back. I went ahead and created several batches of these so I can use them on more cards and gift tags later. Now I'll use my glass mat as usual, and I'm using a Salmon Says Stamp pre-made card base in sea glass. This is going to be a really simple card. I'll start arranging the snowflakes randomly across the card, but I'll vary the colors and gradients. I like to begin with the larger ones, and once I have enough of those, I'll come in with the medium ones, making sure to choose different color variations and effects. There are 2 different snowflake designs here, so I'll mix them up for variety. Now I'll add the smallest ones to fill in the gaps. I might swap out a few to get a better color balance. I think that gives me enough variation, so now I'll use a piece of press and seal wrap and drop it over the arrangement. That way I can lift the whole layout up at once and then apply glue to the reverse side of the die cuts. I'm avoiding pressing the edges on this side because I don't want anything sticking to the back of the card. Maybe it's just better to fold the card base so none of the snowflakes get glued down where they shouldn't. Once everything is adhered, I'll lift off the press and seal and add glue anywhere that needs reinforcement. This is such a simple but elegant card. You can jazz it up or down as much as you like. I'll remove the overhanging bits, and now for the sentiment. I'll place it right across the center. I'd already applied a thin paper strip I had lying around, but I want a bit more height with the foam. To finish the card, I'm adding rhinestones in the centers of the snowflakes and a few more scattered around the card. And that's it, nice and sparkly. The next card is a true clean and simple card, and you can use any die from your stash to make this card. Keep watching. I'll make this a 6 by 6 inch card, and I've cut the card base from Spellbinder's classic white 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm using an older snowflake die by BB Cameron to create the focal point for this design. And at the time of recording, this die is on sale. I'll link it for you in my list of supplies. I'll cut the snowflakes from white cardstock, and since this die set comes with a shadow layer, I'll cut the shadow from red foil cardstock. I'll get all the cutting done and be right back. Okay, so everything is cut out and I created 2 layers for the main snowflake and stacked them together. This honestly took a hot minute because the pieces are so intricate. I held each section individually and glued them down one by one. I did consider using double-sided adhesive sheets, but I figured removing the backing from the double-sided adhesive and trying to line everything up might be even trickier on such a large piece. So using glue actually gave me more control. I could work slowly, one bit at a time. You can see some small areas where the 2 layers didn't line up perfectly, but I hope they won't be that noticeable. Before adhering the snowflake, I want to add some splatters on the card base. I'm using solar spray from Simon Hurley to add a pearlescent light shimmer. I'm placing a rag underneath so the spray doesn't go all over my workspace. I'm not exactly certain if this spray contains mica in it because that can cause the nozzle to clog up if you shake it up and down. So just to err on the side of caution, I like to swirl it around or roll it between my palms and then tap out a few splatters. I accidentally spilled a big drop, so I might as well add a few larger ones to make it look intentional. I'm concentrating the splatter around the edges because the main snowflake will sit in the center. I'm being very light-handed because the spray needs a few minutes to dry. While that dries, I'll start assembling the snowflake. This snowflake is again a bit tricky to adhere because it's so intricate. I'll start by gluing one end and working my way around slowly. I'm applying small drops of glue so nothing oozes out, but not too tiny because this is going on to foil and it needs to stick firmly. I'm being really careful here. Once I have the main points adhered, I'll add glue to more of the detailed areas. I'll complete the gluing off camera so I don't waste your time, and I'll be right back. I'm back and the splatter panel has also dried and it looks beautiful. It has a very subtle shimmer. I'm not sure if you can tell on camera though. Now I'll assemble the card. I'm using foam tape behind the snowflake, and this narrow size works perfectly. I'm looking for the section where the layers didn't stack perfectly. Here it is, and I want to position that area where it won't be too noticeable. Since the greeting will draw the eye, I really don't want the imperfect area near it, but it's going to be tricky. So I'll angle the snowflake slightly and place that uneven part toward the bottom. I want the snowflake straight enough, but not perfectly straight. I think that's really pretty. Next, the small tab on the sentiment piece is meant to fold inward so it pops up a little. I'll add glue to the tab and press it down so it sticks. It's slipping a tiny bit, so I'll place a magnet on top and leave it there for a couple of minutes. While that sets, I'll add rhinestones to the snowflake branches, and I'll be right back. Here's the completed card. I added rhinestones, and now I'm debating whether the snowflake looks slightly lopsided. Maybe I should have straightened it a bit more. I could try adjusting it later with the heat tool since I've used foam tape behind it, but I don't want to risk warping the card base. Let me know what you think. I didn't want it perfectly straight, but I think I'm not completely happy with this angle either. For this next card, I'm using 3 different die sets. I'll use the stitch die from the postage label die set to create the base layer, and then I'll use the largest deckled rectangle for the top layer. I'll use the set of snowflakes where the shadow layers will be dark blue, the snowflake centers will be white glitter, and the detailed snowflake will be the light blue of the background. So let me get everything cut out and I'll be right back. I'm back with all the die cuts, and I used this better press plate to create the sentiments. Since the plate prints all the sentiments at once, I've got a full set here, and I can decide later which one to use. I have the 2 layers and snowflakes for the design. The snowflakes have multiple center layers available, but I'm only using 1 layer and finishing with a gem. And if you're wondering, I also punched out these little blue circles using my hole punch just from scraps. I'll use them as additional embellishments. Now let's get everything adhered. I'll use my non-stick paper to protect my work surface and avoid getting glue everywhere. Luckily, the centers of the snowflakes stayed inside the die cut, which gives me more surface to apply the glue. I'm applying glue to the detailed pieces, but I'm getting little globs. So here's a trick I learned from BB Cameron. I'll use a scrap piece of cardstock to remove the excess glue. That way, nothing oozes out. This one shifted on me, so for the next one, I'll glue the center first, then the rest. Much better. Now I can work on one point at a time. Now for the snowflakes, I'll add foam bits to the back. I'll start with the one in the middle, but I'll first remove the backing from all of the foam pieces and then apply glue on the foam tape. This keeps the foam sticky long enough that I can reposition the snowflakes if needed. I'm applying a generous amount of glue so it doesn't dry up too quickly, and then place the snowflakes. Time to pick a sentiment, and I think peace and joy fits perfectly, so I'll go with that. I'll add a narrow foam strip to the back again and make sure it sits straight. I'll adhere the small blue circles as the first set of embellishments. Then I'll adhere these Spellbinders opal gems to the snowflake centers and the blue circles. And that finishes this card as well. It has sparkle, shine, and shimmer, everything in one card. I'm making another video with some more simple card ideas for the holidays, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss part 2. And if you're thinking of tidying up your craft room over the holidays, I have a few ideas for you and you can watch them here.